Dan Ives of Wedbush has been on a journey following this, raising his Twitter price target to, guess what, 54.20, and saying the soap opera now comes to an end with Musk owning Twitter at the original price tag. For Musk, the irony is the easy part of this deal was buying Twitter. The hard part will be fixing it with monetization and subscriber engagement. We expect the deal to close without any major issues over the next few weeks. Dan, can I pick up on the last piece of that? Why do you think this closes without major issues, given the debt side of the story that Shanali just went through?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's some debt issues that the banks are going to need to deal with. But in terms of Twitter's board, we believe over the next 24 hours that they take away their lawsuits. And I believe this deal could close as early as next week. Because for Twitter, this was a situation where Musk saw writing on the wall. He knew he was not going to win in Delaware. And I think it's sort of now this old sort of Western standoff now ultimately ends with Musk owning Twitter probably by next week.
If it happens by next week, we start talking about X. Can you tell me what X actually is?
Look, I think that's part of the problem. The easy part, ironically, for Musk was buying this. The hard part's going to be fixing it. The monetization is going to be an Everest-like uphill battle. And of course, there could be some subscriber that they could add from a monetization. They could look for more content partners. But this is going to be just a massive transformation in the next 18, 24 months. And it just comes down our view from the beginning. I mean, this was a ridiculous price that he's paying, but ultimately got locked into it. And with Tesla, I mean, he's essentially selling caviar to buy a $2 slice of pizza in Twitter.
I'll get to the Tesla side of it in just a moment. Dan, who's running this company?
I mean, I think, look, in the near term, it could be Musk, but ultimately he's going to have to farm this out to some social media experience execs because, this is not his sort of swim lane in terms of knowing how to turn around Twitter. But it's part of the problem here. Spread too thin, and that would be a worry, especially for Tesla investors.
I won't try and extend the analogy and talk about caviar on pizza, but can you tell me about the relationship between Tesla and Twitter from here, how you expect that to develop in any way, shape or form?
The biggest problem, Ed hit on it, is does he have to sell more stock? I mean, we believe it could be up to $3 billion that he sells, and that continues to be a bit of an overhang. But I think a contained overhang here. But the broader worry is just key man risk. I mean, does he start to juggle too many balls at the same time? Twitter's a new kid on the block. Tesla needs Musk more than any other time, given what we're seeing in EV supply chain is coming off a delivery miss. So look, I think for Tesla investors, they're just worried. This has been a nightmare. Look forward to being in the rearview mirror, but clearly there's some work to be done ahead.
It's not in the rearview mirror yet. Dan, can we finish there? Can we talk about risk factors to your view? You're not the only one who's struggled to understand through the summer as to whether this would close or not. What's the number one risk that you think would prevent this from closing?
The number one risk would be the Twitter board ultimately not being comfortable with the financing, given some of the issue that you're talking about, and basically not pulling their lawsuit. Then this really starts to get complex if this actually starts to go into Delaware and they do not pull their lawsuits. And I think that probably is the most complicating factor. Because, of course, Musk and Parag and the Twitter board are not going to be doing a candlelight dinner. There's no trust factor. They're snake bitten. That's going to be the issue.
I imagine there won't be a candlelight dinner with the banks anytime soon either.